Hi guys.
Hi Bandhu.
Hi comrades.
Hi, idiots!
Today we,
Riya.
Shivam.
Vaibhav,
Abhishek.
who are students of law, will have a chat on whether breaking the law can be justified.
Do we follow all laws?
Do we know all laws?
Can't even count the number of time I've skipped the red light.
I didn't know about the concept of the wrong side of a road till I was 14. My father was really furious at me for not knowing such a basic thing.
We have faced consequences for violating laws, even if it was done unknowingly or sometimes accidentally.
Ignorance of law is not an excuse, Weber.
What about the people who violates law intentionally? Can they ever be justified?
I think that if a law shocks the conscience of a person, he may violate it.
What kind of conscience do you think an oppressor like Aurangzeb had?
Now, what I meant was the moral compass of a person. Violating a law needs to be in the right direction.
And who would decide that the moral compass of a person is in the right direction?
I believe that no single person can do that job, and such a powerful mandate should come from the people.
What does people's mandate mean?
It can mean the view of majority, which I think is what most elections mean. It could also mean the view of sizable number of people, no matter if it's the majority, but I personally believe that people's mandate can come only from the decision of a competent authority, which derive its power from a written constitution which protects the right of both majority and minority. In our case, it would mean the judiciary.
A written constitution is all good and well, but the responsibility of implementing such a framework falls on people.
People who can be dutiful, people who can be responsible, but people who can also be innocent, and people who can be gullible, people who can be biased towards the majority.
No, Shivam. I know for a fact that our judiciary has the capacity to be above such bias. When reservation was imposed and subsequently challenged in the Supreme Court.
As happened with every policy in our country, people just love going to the court, don't they?
Let me finish, Abhishek. As I was saying, when the reservation was imposed and subsequently challenged in the Supreme Court, the majority, which is the general class, violently opposed it. But still, Supreme Court upheld the reservation policy in order to do the justice to the centuries of pain and oppression the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes had to face.
Let me get this straight. So you want to say that the validity of somebody's opposition to the law can be ascertained only by the courts?
In a way, yes.
Moving on. Why is it necessary to follow the law?
What do we have other than laws keeping our society afloat? Without laws, we'd be left in anarchy.
Yes, I completely agree with you. Our society has promised me some rights, which means everyone has a duty to not violate those rights promised to me. Similarly, I have a duty to not violate others' right and consequently follow the law of the land. If we don't do that, the society will just crumble.
But what about the laws which are against the conscience of the society? Following the law of Nazi regime did not do much good to the Germans.
Agreed. This makes me think. What all reasons make people break laws?
You mean the grounds?
Morality! Any other ground?
Unnecessary restrictions?
The proportionality of the punishment given for the offense being way higher.
Since everyone agrees that morality is one of the major grounds, let's discuss it first.
Sometimes people break law not because they don't know the consequences, but because of the greater law they follow, the law of morality.
Whether it is through civil disobedience, vigilantism, or through eco-terrorism, one cannot be content to obey laws that are morally wrong.
Moreover, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws.
Yes. Imagine India without Mahatma Gandhi. Leaders like Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Mandela broke the law and changed the world for the better.
Martin Luther King once said, freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed.
Breaking the law can be justified considering the situations and the purpose.
But how do we weigh the morality? Because what's moral for a community might be moral for the other.
Should majoritarian view prevail?
No. Even majoritarian view can be wrong.
Oh, guys, we have already discussed this.
Yes, I think we can now move from breaking the law to facing the consequence of breaking it, which is...
Punishment. Shivam, you will be punished for breaking the law.
Riya, how do we decide the amount of punishment to be given for a crime?
I think that we have already established that giving too much punishment for a crime will incite people to break more laws in protest of such a despotic state. But giving too little a punishment for a crime will present its own set of problems.
I understand what you're trying to say. In China, when the one-child policy was in place, people had to pay a really high fine if they had a second child. Now, wealthy and affluent couples simply paid it and had another kid without breaking a sweat. They would treat that fine as a fees of having another child rather than treating it as an actual fine, deterring them and others from doing it. This is exactly what Michael J. Sandel says in his book, What Money Can't Buy.
I do have read that book. It's great.
Is giving money to government officials for speeding up their services a fees or a fine?
That's lame, even for you.
Is the punishment of a crime same for every offender? Does it depend on something else?
As we discussed earlier, the breaking of law can be justified if the morality of offender is in the right place. But does that mean that the offender will not face any consequence for breaking the law? I think not. Gandhi indeed did a lot for our nation by standing up to the Britishers and breaking their oppressive laws. But he was sent to jail time to time for doing so. Hundreds of thousands of German soldiers who were not ready to follow the terrible order of the Nazism were killed for their acts of insubordination. May God rest their soul.
Okay, I think you have made your point, but isn't it unfair that these people were punished so terribly for just being benevolent and moral?
Yes, but I think that is not a huge problem for us anymore. We are in a democracy where we can challenge the validity of any law passed by the government. We just have to follow a due process while doing it.
The hell with your due process. By the time the court decides on such matters, the damage is mostly already done. It can sometimes even take decades for a decision to come. This remedy is just a tool of social control. With this, people will think they control the government, but it is the other way around. I don't have a lot of faith left in the system.
Don't say that, Shivam. Our system is flawed, but it is the best system we have got. Where else can you get a bunch of people with a deep understanding of justice to sit and resolve your disputes for you and enforce those decisions? We should strive to make the system better. A rant on all its flaws is not going to take us anywhere.
Indeed, today we have public interest litigation, which wasn't there earlier. With PIL, you could file a complaint in the courts even if you are not a party to conflict.
When you're coming of legal aid, the government will give you a lawyer if you can't afford one. Summing up, although there is a long way to go, the wheels of our states are moving.
Still, if we are to consider all of this, it is indeed possible that a person exhausted by the system resolves to breaking the law in protest. The act of breaking the law is a powerful weapon which hits both the credibility of a law and the person wielding that power.